Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone. Welcome again to the COVID-19 edition Pocatello Business Podcast with my friend and professional, James Rutchi. Let me say hello real quick, James.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm going to go through, I'm going to introduce him a little bit right now. This guy is quite accomplished. So he is a graduate of Pocatello High School. I'm not going to say the year. I'm not going to reveal any age. He went on to study at West Point. That's awesome. Studied at the University of Idaho College of Law. Graduated there. Worked at the Idaho Legislature. Former officer at the United States Army Military Intelligence and was a counterintelligence. Wow, if I could speak, counterintelligence special agent. That's pretty
no, I was.
No,
it was a 35 Delta. It's a general intelligence. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Former judicial law clerk at U.S. District Court for the District of Idaho. Former associate at Cooper and Larson, chartered. Former owner at Rutchi Law Office, and now owner and partner at Rutchi and Beck Law Offices.
Yes.
Since 2009, December, right?
Yeah. We just had our 10-year anniversary.
That's amazing. How's that feel?
Oh, it feels great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a huge accomplishment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, you're currently running for the state representative, Idaho 229B.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to be? What are you thinking about that?
Well, right now I don't have an opponent. So everybody was supposed to file by March 13th, and I didn't have an opponent file against me. So in theory, I mean, there are some, I suppose, things that could happen, but in theory, I'll be elected in November.
Very
so
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. We need more businessmen in political leadership.
Yes.
I believe. So
yeah.
Well, very good. Very good. Well, we're going to get back to that at the very end. We'll let you go off a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about why you're running there. But let's start off first with telling about your family, maybe your pets, some hobbies, some of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
so I'm married to my wife of 27 years. We actually both grew up here in Pocatello, and we got married back in 1993 after we both graduated from college. We have a couple of kids, both boys, and they are grown now. I think you may have known them when they were real little, because we've known each other for some time. They both graduated from the University of Montana. One's in Omaha and the other one is in Portland. One works for a publishing company up in Portland, and the other one works for a company called Toast. They sell point of sale software to restaurants. So it's kind of a rough industry to be in right now, sure. Sales and restaurant sales. So they're both grown. Wendy and I are empty nesters and taking full advantage of it. We, it was really hard for us that first year or so, but we've found suddenly we have time to do the things we like to do. I read a lot more. We both CrossFit. I'm a hack. Wendy's really good at it. And what else? We have a dog, Sophie, they call her a mixed retriever. I think it means she's a mutt, but we got her at the pound. I guess it's probably been about 10 years ago. So that's a little bit about us.
Oh, I love it. Well, the CrossFit thing, that's too tough for me. So you're a better man than me.
Oh, it's been tough for me too.
Well, cool. So, you just hit your 10-year anniversary with the Rutchi bet law.
Yeah,
I'm guessing you still had some kids in the house at that time, right? 10 years
we
ago.
did. Yeah, so I was actually in the legislature my first time. I was in the legislature from 2006 to 10 as a state representative from this area. And, in 2008, the recession hit.
Yeah.
And it just became increasingly difficult to both develop my law practice, parent from 3.5 hours away
Sure.
for 3 to 4 months, about 3 months, 3.5 months out of the year, and be a good husband, and and be a good legislator. So I was just feeling that pressure. We were worried about our finances, just like everybody else was. And so I decided, Wendy and I had a long conversation about, what are we doing? And it was kind of one of those watershed moments where you just say, hey, we got to put first things first.
Yeah.
We were fairly young, I guess. Well, I mean, I had just turned 40 when I was in the legislature. So at the time we were having these conversations, I was probably 39 or 40. And we just realized, there are times in life where you got to buckle down and put first things first and focus on them. And first things first for us was making sure we got our kids through college, that, they knew they were loved and taken care of. We helped develop them so they could be, grow up and be good people. And my relationship with Wendy is by far the most important thing in my life. So with that relationship, I just have a better quality of life. I mean, I can be kind of practical about it, but it's mostly that she and I have just been through so much. Anyway, I wanted to take care of that relationship, and I felt like the longer I stayed over in Boise, the harder it would be to take care of all those things. And then, of course, the financial piece. You make $18,000 a year being a legislator. Now, I had a law practice, but it was hard to balance those things. I was making decent money as a lawyer, but I could see that could come to a screeching halt. And it eventually did, actually, because even after I left the legislature, just several months later, I lost that job because I was working for another firm. They had been real good to me, allowing me to go to the legislature. But boy, as business owners, you got to make tough decisions sometimes, and they had to do that. And that's when I went out on my own.
Interesting. So the safety net was literally kind of just taken out, and it's time to fly.
Yeah. And those were tough times, Spencer, because I can remember, where I live, I can remember standing out on, in our yard, calling one of my brothers, and just, I was kind of talking out loud about what I was going to do next and how I was going to make the money to pay the mortgage. And I didn't want my kids to overhear the conversation. I didn't want Wendy to overhear the conversation, because all I wanted them to feel was I got a plan. And I really felt that. I felt like I had a plan. I could get through this, because I'm just naturally kind of a positive person and confident. But boy, at the same time, I was under a lot of pressure. It's why the COVID-19 stuff, I feel pretty confident about navigating it. But it does bring up some memories, so I'm worried about it for my kids. And I understand how other people might feel who have kids at home and a mortgage, and, but you get through it anyway. So it was nerve wracking back then. It was tough to navigate, but we did it.
You did it. So kind of, you made this. So what I'm hearing is the safety net was taken away. You had to kind of come and face the music a little bit and realize, okay, I've got to swim or sink here.
Yeah.
So how did you just?
Yeah.
What were the big things that, as you were starting your business, what were the big things that kind of caught you or maybe you stumbled over that you'd want to maybe let the people out there knowing that who are looking for starting a business or wanting to increase their business, what they would want to know from what you went through?
Yeah. So by the time this happened, I had been practicing law about 8 years, but always for somebody else. I'd never owned my own business. But I was, I'd done my best to get involved in the community. Obviously, I've been elected to office, so that helped. So I had to figure out, how am I going to make money now with the knowledge I have, the degree that I have? And I started looking at other firms. I wanted to really be an owner in something, because working for somebody else is just, that's the other thing I concluded at the end of those 8 years. That's just not for me. I like to be in charge. I don't mind, I love having a law partner, because you can bounce ideas off one another. You can navigate both business decisions, legal decisions, case decisions with one another. But I love being part of the decision-making apparatus, right? So I knew that's what I wanted. I checked out a few law firms. I just never felt really good about it. At the same time, there was a lawyer that I'd gone to law school with. His name is Joel Beck. He grew up in Aberdeen. And I knew him from law school, and periodically we would litigate cases against each other, or we'd be on the same side. So, a more friendly relationship. But I knew he was a good attorney. I loved practicing law with him. He was over in Twin Falls at the time with a really good plaintiffs firm, meaning they represent only the people bringing lawsuits against corporations and the government and insurance companies. And so periodically, from time to time, he and I would go to lunch over our first 9 years of practicing law. And we'd kind of do this little dance about, I'd say something about how, well, it'd be kind of cool to maybe start your own law firm one day. And then I'd wait and see what he would say. Really what I was trying to figure out is he interested in doing this too? And he was kind of doing the same thing with me, but until I was out on my own for those first couple months, once that happened, I just picked the phone and said, "Hey, Joel, here's my situation. I'm wanting to start my own firm. You and I have had these conversations. What do you think?" And it took a few months to kind of work that out, but that's what we did. We opened up our own firm together.
Awesome. Well, good. And it's been good so far. 10 years. That's, most companies don't make it out to that point. So.
Yeah, but he and I, we both have the same work ethic. We both have the same honesty ethic. We just integrity is really important to us. Practicing law with integrity is important to us. Treating our employees well is important to us. So there's all those commonalities. Mm-hmm. And then we realized we worked well together and enjoyed going to work. It's just fun hanging out with our employees and each other practicing law. I say hanging out, we're working the whole time, but there's a lot of fun we have too.
Well, that's cool. And that's one thing too, is some people, maybe maybe the partnerships have a bad rap to them, but I feel like, if you guys have the same mindset and the same type of ways you want to do business, it works out pretty good, I'm guessing. Yeah,
it does. And if I think the important thing is knowing yourself. So for example, if that sort of back and forth and interaction doesn't work well for you, if you know that about yourself, maybe a partnership isn't the right way to go. Some people feel more comfortable in a large organization. I think I could do that, but I really enjoyed a small organization because you're in charge of every decision. You're probably the same way. You like knowing you have control over what's going to happen, whether you're going to expand, and that's good and bad because you get both ends, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's for sure. So I'm guessing there's also times that you have to take the attorney hats off and just sit down with each other as business owners and make those decisions, right? You have to.
Yeah. I mean, we've had to let some people go over the years. Luckily, though, I think we've done a good job of recruiting really good, hardworking, and talented people who are also fun to have in the office. And just they're as committed to our clients as we are. They're as committed to the art of practicing law as we are, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's tough decisions, and along the way, Joel and I, we started another company where we buy real estate. I mean, we're essentially landlords, but we buy real estate. We have a real estate holding company, Portland Valley Properties, that has been kind of fun because it allows us to use different part of our brain, but also use our knowledge of the law. So that's been good too.
That's awesome. Well, that is good stuff. Well, let's move a little bit forward because we don't have a ton of time left. Let's go into some of the fun stuff here. Since it's COVID-19 time, this is a good question. What is your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant?
Yeah, our go-to would be, because we try to eat balanced, it would be a steak.
Nice.
And I love the Sandpiper, although I have not ordered to go from the Sandpiper, but we do hamburgers from the Sand Trap.
Oh yeah.
And we've ordered to go there. I mean, that's awesome.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Love that place. Perfect. Well, as we sum up this meeting, so let's sum it up real quick with what's your secret sauce that you would tell those people out watching about wanting to start a business? What certain things you need to do and watch out for?
Well, I mean, you need to have some sort of line of credit, either with a bank or have somebody who has the confidence in you to support you until you get cash flow going. And the secret sauce, though, once you have that in place, is you got to work your tail off and you got to believe in yourself. And if you do those two things and you just can't let the foot off the accelerator until you get to the point where your business is flowing. And that doesn't mean you won't have problems from time to time. I think everybody always does. But there will be a point once you've been doing it for a while where you go, okay, it's working. But until then, you cannot take your foot off that accelerator.
I like it. It's no rest. You got to just keep chugging along.
Chugging along. Make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you, James, for coming on the Pocatello Business Podcast today, our little podcast here. We are speaking with a local legend and soon to be a House representative. So, speaking of that, before we tail off here, give us kind of why do you want to run for the House of Representatives right now?
Well, when I look at what's going on in Boise in the state legislature, I think one of the things that is being missed is people need to have somebody over there who's been through what they've been through, understands what challenges they have. And I feel like Wendy and I, we've lived that life. We've struggled to raise kids well. We've struggled through good and bad economic times. We know the impact that can have, and we've worked through all those things. And I will tell you, when I watch what's happening in the state legislature, it just feels like, and this isn't really a partisan thing, because I think you could say it about both parties. They seem to be really focused on ideological things and not just the bread and butter things. Like, how do you, what can you do for small businesses to make sure they can succeed? What can you do to make sure kids are getting good education? How do you make higher education more affordable and quality so that they can go out in the job market and make money and support their own families? Those are the sorts of things that I think the state legislature is missing. And, I'll be one of 105 people, but I work hard. I work really hard. And so my goal is to have an operation over there that has an outsized effect, and then just find like-minded people and get things done. That's what I want to do.
I like it. I totally agree with it. And I totally agree with your work ethic too, because I've seen that in action. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
So again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We're again with James Rutchi, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, man. Have a
Thanks.
good time staying indoors.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.